Well, hello everyone, and welcome once again to Interviews from Israel. We have with us Rabbi Mordecai Weiss today, and we're looking forward to another opportunity. It's been 2 weeks now since we've spoken with him, and I know there is a lot to talk about and catch us up on of what's happening in Israel. So, Rabbi Weiss, blessings, and please take the ball and run with it.
Thank you, Gary. Um, Day number 83. Um, it's soon going to be 3 months since that unbelievably horrific day, October 7th, when thousands of Israelis, children, women, men, civilians were butchered. I mean, literally butchered, butchered.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, that set into motion the war that's taking place right now here in Israel. And after 83 days, what's basically transpired here in Israel is the sort of creation of what I would call the new normal. So for the first couple of weeks, people said, "Oh, it's like COVID, da da da, whatever." It's beyond that already. The In Hebrew, the two most feared words right now in Israel are the words "hutru lepersum," which in English means cleared for publication. And these are the words that we hear pretty much every morning when we get up. In Israel, we have, of course, a military censor because we're very sensitive about what's being reported. There are a lot of restrictions, especially on soldiers, what they're able to share, and whatever. So once things get through the military censor, so then they are, so to say, cleared for publication. And typically, immediately following that announcement, you have the names of one, two, three, who knows,
Mhm.
soldiers that have been killed in battle in the last 24 hours. Uh, of course, by this point, the families have been notified, and that's the new norm. Okay, that's the new reality here. That's the daily experience here. Waking up in the morning and hearing, cleared for publication. This 18-year-old boy was killed. This 20-year-old boy was killed. This father of six was killed. And we're a very, very small country, and everybody knows everybody. And these are kids and people who worked together, went to school together. They were living regular lives together, and now all of a sudden they've all been thrust into this war, and we all dread that daily announcement of the new names uh, of the
Mhm.
of those that have been killed in action. Um, on top of that, besides what's happening in the southern part of the country, we also have our eyes on what's happening in the northern part of the country. Sometimes, of course, it doesn't get as much attention because, after all, we are actually in Gaza right now. We're not in Lebanon. We're only on the border. But some 100,000 Israelis have been evacuated from their homes in the north, in the
Mhm.
northern part of the country. 100,000 people. Homes have been destroyed by missiles that have been shot from Lebanon. Today, they shot the Israeli military shot down a drone that had already reached the Haifa area. Uh, So that's also part of our new norm, our new daily routine, hearing about what's happening in the north. And then, of course, we're hearing about all the evacuees. I mean, we have some, 200,000 Israelis today. They're not refugees, but they're not in their homes. They're evacuees, and they're living in hotels and newly opened apartment buildings that had lots of vacancies in it. And so, tens of thousands of Israelis, children who would be going to school. The Israeli universities just reopened now for the first time. There was a delayed opening because of the war. But of course, the reservists who are fighting the war are unable to attend their classes. So, special accommodations are going to be made for them. So just thinking about, all these people that have been uprooted, and the many who don't know when they're going back. And again, when we talk about the families that were evacuated from the south, some of them have nothing to return to.
Right.
And that's going to take years of rebuilding. And we're not there yet. We're not rebuilding the South while there's a war going on in the South. So that's another new part of our norm here in Israel. And then, the hostages themselves, there aren't really any serious negotiations going on right now. And, every day we learn of more horrors that occurred. We hear about them from the hostages who were released. And we keep hearing from the army, from soldiers that we know fighting the war, from the military itself. They're all saying the exact same thing, that it's a long road ahead. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now. They keep talking about, we got to get rid of Hamas. We got to get rid of Hamas. We have to get rid of Hamas. And we do have to get rid of Hamas. But, getting rid of Hamas is no simple matter. And it's going to cost even more lives. And then you have, the economic impact of all of this. Okay. Over the last couple of times that we have spoken together, we explained how the reservist system works here in Israel. We have 360,000 reservists who have been called to duty right now. That's a big percentage of our population. There are communities where there are no men to be seen because everybody's out to war. So you have mothers taking care of their kids by themselves. Very, very challenging. Nobody bringing in income because the business is closed. Or, I called my barber last week to make an appointment. He said, well, I'll call you when I get back, but I'm fighting in the South. So you have all those reservists that are, out of the economic loop of the country, and in fact, just the other day, the Israeli government actually passed two laws. So one law was to increase the benefits for reservists. So again, a reservist in Israel, my impression when you think about the reserves, for the most part, you think about people who are in the United States. It's a volunteer army. Serving in the reserves in Israel, it's not volunteer. Okay, you are required to serve in the army till the age of 40, and if you're an officer, till the age of 45. And if you're a doctor or a specialist, till the age of 50. So The government just now increased the benefits, for the reservists to, help them somewhat. And they passed a second law. There were a bunch of reservists that were about to be released from duty because they were going to be 40 years old.
Oh.
And now the government raised the age of retirement by another year to be able to keep them in the army right now, because we have a war going on, and we need them, and we can't lose all those people who have been fighting over the last couple of months.
Insane.
Yes, it's and of course, what's even more insane is thinking about the amount of people that have been killed already. Soldiers, security people, civilians. We're talking about close to 1,400 people that have been killed already. A country
Mm-hmm.
of 9 million people, 1,400 people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people. And the injured. So that's
Does
uh,
four
that's our new
does,
norm.
does 1400 include October the 7th,
Yes,
or
it
is that
does.
since? Okay.
Yes, yes. You have close to the amount of soldiers that have been killed since the war began is close to 200. It's coming up to 200. So of the 500 soldiers that were killed, about 300 of them were killed already on October 7th, and including about 700 civilians
Mm-hmm.
on that day.
Well, you have to put, I'm just trying to help people wrap their minds around what you're saying, because these are a lot of numbers, but they're not just separate numbers. They all come together of an impact of, those who are dislocated from their homes, and those families
Reservists,
that are,
half a
just, I mean,
million people like that, and
yeah.
and then all the families, and yeah, and it's the population here is only 9 million to begin with,
Hmm.
so it's a huge, huge impact, to say the least. Um, and then you have like the small stuff. Last Friday night, we were having Friday night Sabbath services on my back porch, and all of a sudden we saw these lights up in the air, and somebody said, "Oh, are those flares?" And then we found out later that those were actually missiles that were being fired from Gaza in the direction of Jerusalem, and we could actually see them being shot down from our back porch.
Wow.
So you still have the sirens. I saw a picture in the news the other day. So sirens had gone off during the school day, and you had a whole bunch of kids in their backpacks, laying flat on the ground. And I don't know, for me, it was kind of like reminiscent of those pictures from the 50s when they used to
Right.
practice the nuclear war drill, the
Right.
atomic bomb, put your head between your knees and kiss your tuchus goodbye. Um, but that's kind of what it looked like, except it's the reality. It's the
Hmm.
that is the new norm here.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of people can picture what you're saying about the missiles coming in, because many on our tours have stood on your back porch and looked out over Jerusalem from your home. So
Right.
that's a very real experience.
Um, on a more positive note, um, the uh, the unity that the Israeli public is experiencing right now between all these many divergent communities that are usually at each other's throat.
Hmm.
They've really all come together, the right and the left and the religious and the not religious. This was a big wake up call for all of us. Um, and you see it, banners. You see it on the displayed on the city bus. or on the highway signs, Yachad Ninatseach, together we will win. And there really has been this great, great feeling and outpouring of unity uh, in the Jewish community here in Israel, and that, of course, is very refreshing. And one of the ways that we've also seen that expressed is with the upsurgence of voluntarism. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are countless WhatsApp groups and Facebook pages, and it could be something little, like a soldier at the front. He needs his laundry done. He needs his laundry delivered to him. Can someone drive it to him? Cooking food for soldiers. The I spoke about this last time. The agriculture community has been hit very, very hard, and
Mm-hmm.
so on a daily basis, you have many, many, many volunteers, schools, and even I have a 20-year-old daughter, so she works in security at the Jordan Israeli border crossing. And they actually gave her and her coworkers a paid day off from work, and they hired a bus and they took them to a farm, and they spent the whole day, picking strawberries, whatever. So everybody's chipping in, and of course there's all the volunteer work that's needed for the evacuees, for their children,
Right.
someone to watch the kids, teach the kids, entertain the kids, bring them food, bring them clothing. Um, it's an endless list,
Mm-hmm.
and although although it's difficult, for some to get to Israel at this time, it's expensive. Only El Al is basically flying here these days. But there's still many, many groups that are coming, and the Israeli community, just welcomes these groups with open arms, and they're just so happy to see them here. It really means a lot, and it's something which is very important. So the Israeli community is volunteering. We have people volunteering from outside of Israel, and please God, together uh, we'll we will eventually see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Yes. Well, I'm glad to hear about the unity. I think that's such an important aspect of this as it goes on, because that's one of the areas many times that we see wears down in a situation like this, is everyone comes together in the beginning, but then it sort of tapers off, and uh, it's wonderful to hear that that's still holding strong.
Yeah. Of course, from time to time, you're going to hear in the news, different criticism. There's new reports just came out yesterday, today, about intelligence information that could have, would have, should have been passed on and wasn't. And basically, I think the attitude of most Israelis at this time is that there will be a time when this is all over, to go back and
Hmm.
see where all the mistakes were made. And many mistakes were made on many levels, on the political
Uh-huh.
level, on the military level. But the country, most of the people in the country, they understand that right now is not the time to deal with that. There'll be time later on to deal with that. What's important now is that we, stay together, stay united, and whatever mistakes were made, well, we'll go back and examine those, after the war is over.
Right. That's very important. I wish that they would be doing more of that here in our situation with the fires that took place. But the criticism and tearing down is not helpful at this point. We need to get to a place where we can build, and part of building is to make corrections to, what was done incorrectly in the past. So I'm glad to hear that that's again holding strong in Israel. Well, I wanted to ask, have you? I know last time we talked, you had been delivering pizzas and doing things out on the front line yourself, and have you had any other opportunities to go and actually see firsthand what's going on and to just be an encouragement to the troops?
No, actually, right now, my personal emissary for doing that is my son, who
Hmm.
is 26, and he's in uniform, and he's in Gaza right now. So anything that we need to know or need to communicate back and forth, I'm doing it through him. But we are continuing every week to bake chalot for Shabbat for the soldiers, and that's uh, that's what we're doing. Um, I mean, thank God, uh, you know, as bad as it is, and it is a very, very, very difficult time right now.
Hmm.
But our kids are going to school every day. This past week, I took two of my grandsons to purchase their tefillin, for their bar mitzvah,
Oh.
which is coming up. My wife and I attended a wedding of a good friend in Haifa. So, you know, is going on. We're not
Hmm.
living in a bunker.
Yeah.
Thank God we're not. Um, but um, but I was listening to an interview recently of an individual very, very responsible for the success of the Israeli wine industry. And again, just like another side thing, the Israeli wine industry has been hit very, very hard because of the war. Because who wants to go out into a restaurant during the time of war and enjoy a good glass of wine?
Hmm.
So, less wine is being bought, being purchased, less parties are being had, so less wine is being purchased. Um, so, many of the people that work at these wineries, they themselves, they're reservists. So everybody's
Right.
working on a skeleton staff.
True.
And he said, he didn't even want to agree to the interview. His mind just wasn't into it. His mind was focused on the war. But then he said, that's exactly what the enemy wants. The
Hmm.
enemy wants that I, should give up, and and so he went and he spoke about the wine industry, and that's the attitude you have to have here. The attitude you have to have here is, despite all the challenges, uh, make those weddings and make those bar mitzvahs, and enjoy and appreciate those celebrations and family celebrations that we can have.
Yes. Do speaking of that, is there, and you may not know this, but I'm just thinking always of ways that people can, have some impact, especially economically at this time. Is there an ability? Because I know before when we were there, several of the wineries were working to, uh, get export of the wine and have people be able to be on standing orders and order wine from the wineries and ship it to their homes and things like that back in the States. Is that is it possible to get products out of Israel, or is that being really stopped or hindered during this time?
Well, as long as they're not being shipped through Yemen, but no, deliveries are still continuing. So yeah, definitely, go to your, but even just go to your local wine shop, and Friday night, drink some Israeli wine, and you can help us that way as well, and as well. So
Yes.
so yes,
Well, I'm just
wine.
thinking of trying to get together a catalog of Israeli products in general, and have people be able to order things and kind of shop Israel right now and
That's
see
it.
if that would
Yeah,
help bolster the.
that's a great idea. Actually, one of the meetings that I had recently this week was with a new company that was started by a an American who moved to Israel, made Aliyah less than a year ago. And he started a company called Cork and Cellar, and basically he stores and provides, you know, really high quality wine. And, until the war started, his focus was pretty much going to be on the incoming tourists from the
Mhm.
United States. But now, of course, with the war going on, his focus has changed. And he's actually an excellent avenue for people that want to spend money and purchase really great, like real top of the line Israeli wine. Place called Cork and Cellar. So
Great.
yeah, definitely.
Well, that's something we can work at. Just see how we can find products that we can purchase and get shipped to us from Israel. So
Great
anything that
idea.
we can do,
Great
anything we
idea.
can do. Well, thank you so much for this time, Mordecai. Always appreciate it, and always getting a sense of life in reality there, as well as what's happening in the war effort. And as always, we are very much with you, the community that I represent. We are constantly in prayer and discussion of, our faith for finding that light at the end of the tunnel. And so I would just say, I don't know if there's one last thing you want to, tell us, but
Definitely one last thing.
okay.
I want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy new year. It should definitely be a better year than 2023. It's got to be. Um, and you, Gary, and your family, your community, you should all be blessed with good health and joy. And it should be a good new year for all of us. And hopefully, at some point during the year of 2024, you guys will have the ability to return back to Israel because we'd love to have you here.
Good. Well, we'll be definitely talking more about that. And we really commit this New Year's, one of our resolutions, of course, is to continually pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We'll be praying for you and your family, praying for the community there that you live in, because I know it's a very tight knit community and I'm sure it's a great strength right now. But just know that we will be praying for them, praying for your son on the front lines in Gaza. And he represents to us, since we know you and we know of him, he represents to us all of the soldiers and all of the families there in Israel and what they're facing during this time. We pray for God's strength and enabling to see this war completed, but completed in absolute victory, with the purposes of seeing the hostages returned and seeing the end of Hamas. And we will continue in that for our New Year's.
Amen. Thank you, Gary.
Okay, thank you so much, Mordecai. We'll talk to you soon.
Please, God. Thank you.